As the world settles into the fog of war and Iran tries to destroy Israel, Biden's out here mumbling about cannibals. And the question that at first arose out of comic curiosity arises now with pressing panic. Who is in charge of America right now? It sure isn't Creepy Joe or Tipsy Kamala. The guy responsible for all the war and destruction in the world right now is Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan. He's calling the shots. Sullivan was Hillary Clinton's former deputy chief of staff. He rose through the ranks very quickly and became a core member of Obama's inner circle. Arguably, he is the actual manifestation of Obama's third term in the White House. The annual meeting of the world's most powerful people at Davos is usually attended by the president in his first term. But when Joe Biden was deemed too incapable of attending Davos, they didn't send Vice President Kamala, as is protocol. They sent Jake Sullivan. Sullivan has been called a once-in-a-generation talent. Hillary thought he'd be president one day. Joke's on her. He's the unelected president of the United States right now. And with his talent, he's ushered in World War III. But here he is, touting the success of his policies just last October.
The Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades.
Jake Sullivan shouldn't just be fired. Given his track record in the last 12 years, he should be investigated for espionage and treason. What reasonable person, when faced with Iranian missiles targeting U.S. soldiers, stands up and suggests we should send our enemies billions of dollars in cash to solve the problem? Sullivan spearheaded Obama's Iran deal. He sent plane loads of cash to help Iran build their nuclear program. One of his first acts at the White House under Biden was to undo Trump's terrorist designation of Iran's top terror group, the Houthis. Sullivan oversaw the Afghanistan withdrawal. He oversaw the hiring of top Iranian sympathizers in top positions at the Pentagon and State Department. Sympathizers who were emailing Iranian officials as if they were their bosses. Ariane Tabatabai, Ali Vaez, Dina Esfandari, just to name a few. Sullivan put known Hamas sympathizer Rob Malley in charge of Iran talks. Malley's clearance has since been suspended. The only thing standing in the way of Iranian empowerment? Saudi Arabia. So that's why Biden called Saudi Arabia a pariah. The Saudis loved Trump. There was peace in the Middle East back then. But remember when Biden decided he did not want to be seen shaking hands with the Crown Prince? This was the moment Saudi Arabia and the Crown Prince took a giant step back from America. And now the Middle East is in more turmoil than it has been in 2 decades. Sullivan is now panicking. He's made a mistake. So he's flown all year back and forth to Saudi Arabia, and they laugh at him. Case in point, last week, the White House delicately admitted that they had to postpone Sullivan's 5th trip to Saudi Arabia in a year. The reality? The Saudis canceled. Saudi Arabia has always offered a balance against Iran in the Middle East. Trump understood this, but Jake Sullivan and Obama ticked them off and spit in their face. Jake Sullivan underestimated just how much this would actually backfire. So now the Saudis are showing the world what it is like to have no control over the Middle East. And now Sullivan is desperate to bring them back. And this is why Democrats cannot be in charge of the executive branch. At heart, they're all about food stamps and transgender rights. But the moment that they try their hand on actual foreign policy where real issues are on the line, they send in the Ivy League ivory tower lightweights, the head-heavy, muscle-light, pure theory Pollyannas with treason on their minds. Iran's biggest victory is not starting a war with Israel and the Western world. Their biggest victory is Jake Sullivan becoming the proxy president for the United States. For One American News, I'm Sheanel Rion, and this is The Fine Point.